Hello, I'm Nicola. I'm one half of Harmony Headwraps with Jenny. I've not been very visible until recently in the business, and Jenny has been encouraging me to make some videos. So this is the first one, and it's really just a little bit about me and why I wrap. I have always been drawn to wrapping since I was a teenager, and I used to have scarves from our local hippie shop, which are the kind of scarves I now encounter being called Israeli tickles. And I just used to roll them up into a tube and wrap them around. I had long curly hair, and I used to just wrap them around and use them really as a headband. And that was as far as I got, but that was quite way out for where I lived. So that was my first experience. And then when I was at university and I was studying Buddhism and amongst other things, but I went on a residential in a Tibetan Buddhist community in Bath, where I lived. And whilst I was there, I seemed to, and I don't know why, but I went from having that wrapped bit of scarf around to pulling it out over my hair, which I'd sort of put into a rough bun and tucking it under. And there was no volume like there is today. It was just literally a scarf pulled over my hair. And it felt a little odd, and it looked a little odd because I wasn't very good at doing it. But part of it felt really right. But again, it didn't fit with the where I was living and the people that I was with. And it kind of went by the wayside again for quite a long time, actually, until 2005, when I went to Egypt with my husband. And lots of Europeans go on holiday in Egypt, but we went to the Mediterranean coast in Egypt, where there really are no other Europeans, and we were certainly the only white couple there. And I was almost the only woman who wasn't wrapped. There were a handful in the hotel who didn't cover their hair, who were Coptic Christians, but otherwise every other woman everywhere we went had her hair covered. And I felt very out of place. I wasn't made to feel out of place by anybody there, but I felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb. And also I discovered the humidity on the northern coast of Egypt did nothing to help my very crazy curly hair at that time. I was pregnant with my eldest child, and every time I've been pregnant, my curly hair has got ridiculously curly, and it was untamable, and the humidity just made it ridiculous. And so I went and asked the receptionist at the hotel if she would show me how to wrap my hair. I'd bought some scarves from one of the markets there, and she spent an hour or so with me showing me different styles and helping me choose which one would suit me best, which ended up being what she called a Spanish wrap, which was much like this, but instead of all this volume, there was a low bun and at the back, and the scarf was just wrapped around the low bun, so we didn't have this volume that we have in this style. And I loved it. And that was on the second or third day of our holiday, and I wrapped my hair for the rest of the holiday, and I felt completely at ease. And then we came back to England, and I tried to keep it up, but I was a school teacher, and the very first day I went into school with my hair wrapped, one of the kids went, "Miss, what are you wearing on your head?" And that was kind of like, oh, this might not work for me. And it kind of got rid of all my confidence, and I stopped wearing head wraps of any kind again. And then, what are we now? 2018. So 4 years ago, on the 2nd of January 2014, I decided to shave all my hair off. It's something I had been wanting to do for many years and hadn't. And so I decided that this time I would. And my husband shaved it for me, and I loved it. And for several months, I just went around with the bald head, and I kept shaving it. And in fact, I kept on shaving it for 3 years. But after 3 or 4 months, I started to feel the desire to wrap again. And not because I didn't want anyone to see my bald head, because I loved it, but because something inside me was saying, well, you've shaved your head now. How much more difficult can it be to wear a headscarf than to go out with no hair at all? And so I started to wear a headscarf. And then I came across Andrea and Rapunzel and saw that there were other ways of doing it that looked better than what I was doing and felt more natural. And so I bought one of the early shapers that Rapunzel sold, and some scarves. And I sort of found lots of scarves in our local supermarkets that worked. And I started to cover 2 or 3 days a week. And it wasn't very long, just a few weeks before suddenly I was covering full time. And I've been covering full time for about 3.5 years now. And it feels so right to me. And I'm starting, well, not starting, after I'd started covering full time, I started to feel that I knew why I was drawn to covering. I don't feel like I know the full reason yet, but I feel like I have been asked to cover by Goddess as a sign of my devotion, as a sign of my spirituality, and as a reminder of the sacred feminine and sacred energy that's within all of us and that's within me. And so that's what I started to do. I don't yet know if there is a more personal reason that Goddess has for me to cover. I don't feel like I need to know at the moment. This feels like the right thing for me, and I can't imagine now not covering my hair. In fact, most of my friends that I see on a regular basis now have never seen me with my hair out. And, you know, I'm associated, there aren't that many people where I live that cover. There are a handful of Muslims, and there are a handful of Afro-Caribbeans who cover. And it feels like we're all part of a secret club because, you know, most people don't. But I have never encountered any negative energy from anyone whilst I've been covered since I started covering full time. And it's become, I home educate my children, and I sometimes organise groups or classes. And I've become known as that woman with the headscarves. And that's how people sometimes identify me. And that feels fine because it's never done with any malice. It's always done in a very loving way that people accept that that's who I am now. And I sometimes get asked to show people how to cover. And sometimes it's just out of curiosity. Sometimes they want to explore that for themselves. And sometimes they just want to see what it feels like. And I'm always happy to do that because it always seems to be coming from a loving place. I feel very lucky that I haven't encountered any negativity from any quarter while I've been covering. So that's who I am. I will be making some more videos specifically on covering with saris, particularly like a 10-strip sari that's not wide enough to cover the whole of your volume, and how to do it with just one sari scarf, but that's not for this video. So thank you for getting this far. It's a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye bye.